How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today I had to do this. So I had to analyze financial education because he just did a video where he bought a stock and it went up 14% today. So if you remember, I've done a video on this in the past and how I was betting on the fact that financial education had bought a stock recently, that it was gonna appreciate in price, and it did the next day. So what I wanted to do today was actually look at every stock that he's publicly bought over the last 12 months between his two different channels. And I did a lot of research. I found, I think it's 17 different stocks that he's bought, or different times that he's bought them. And I showed what they did the next day, I show what they've done since then, and I show how he compares to the general market index. So before we get into it, I just want to say straight up that this took a lot of research actually, so it's not something that I just knew the answers to. This is something that took me several hours, probably 2 or 3 hours to research and to kind of put it together. So if you don't mind staying through to the end, I think it is going to be really interesting. And then also, if you don't mind hitting the like button, it really does help out the channel. And I really want this to be the best video because I think that this is pretty cool, and it might help out a lot of people if they watch Jeremy from Financial Education. So if you don't know who Jeremy is, he has about 600,000 or 630,000 maybe subscribers between his two stock market investing channels. One of his big things is to review different stocks, and then he might do some flashy video where he buys $25,000 worth of the stock. And I want to say before we get started too, I'm not doing this just to use his name. He actually reached out to me on Instagram a few weeks ago and said that he saw one of my past videos and was pretty impressed by it. He liked it a lot. He left me a pretty long message and we talked a little bit, so that was really cool. So he has given his sign off on this. This is not something that he hates or anything. I don't think he has any problem with this, and he actually did quite well. So we'll break it down, but first we just have to look at, what happened. So a few weeks ago, I made this video, can financial education or other YouTubers sway stock prices? Why I'm betting / buying Planet 13 stock. So I analyzed Planet 13 stock. I think it's a pretty good stock. It has a lot of growth potential. But I also looked at what it did last time when Jeremy bought it. So last time he bought it, before that, it had jumped 25% the day after he bought it. And part of this is because it's a very small market cap. So if his large audience buys in, then it increases the price a lot. So it's pretty simple when you think about it. And it actually did pretty well on views. And this is a video that's just continuing to get more over time. I think it's something that people want to see, and it's something that they have questions about. So this is going to be a more in-depth look. So yesterday, Jeremy made this video why he's going to buy $20,000 of cake stock. So if you don't know what that is, that's the Cheesecake Factory. They own a couple different brands actually, but the main one is the Cheesecake Factory. It was about $20 a share, and if we look at it today, it's almost $23 a share. So it went up about 14.5% today. And this is quite amazing. It kind of reinforced what I already thought, which is that, when there's a small market cap stock, so it was just about 900 million before today, that these large financial YouTubers, if they talk about it and are really bullish on it, can push the stock price up. So what I did, like I said, was I went through every video. So I had to watch a ton of ads, and I had to, scour through for prices through different parts in the video. And if you don't know, he's bought a lot of stock. So he has two different channels, $20,000 right there, the one that we were just talking about. He has another one, $5,000. He has another one, $25,000. And it goes on. And I was kind of surprised because, and look at $2.4 thousand, it continues. This is his second channel. His other channel, he used to do more on. Now he's buying most of his stocks on this channel, I think. But I reviewed all of them, and this is what I got. So we'll go through each of these, but I'm going to leave it so that it's not so much to take in at one time. So this is financial education, so FE actually. So FE, 1 versus 2. So I went through all of 1 first, then went through all of 2. These are the dates that it was published. So what was shown, or when the video was shown on his channel. And these are all the stocks that he bought. So you can kind of take a look at the stocks that he's bought for the last year. So this does take a while to find out all this stuff. So you can see here the amount that he bought. So he bought $11,000 of USO, $30,000 of NAT, $7,000 of TPR, and so on. I will say too that he is a really good investor, and it's hard to tell when the economy is going to go through what it's gone through, that, you know, things like Win are going to go down, other companies like CCL are going to go down. There's no way of knowing that this was going to happen, so try not to be too tough on him. I'm sure that if we look in any of our portfolios, there are stocks that we wish we would have never bought. So this is the amount that he bought, and then we're going to unload this next row. These are the views on each video that he got. So as you can see here, a little bit farther down the line here, a little bit more recently, he's gotten a ton of views. So if we look here, both of the last two ones on his main channel got about 131 and 178,000. If we look back towards last year, he was getting like 30 or 40,000 views. So hats off to him. He has grown a lot too. And then if we look, even his second channel is getting around 100,000 views. So that's really amazing, honestly, that he's getting this amount of views. So what I want to do is show how much he bought, show how many views he got, and kind of let you determine, and I did a little bit of the analysis too, whether the amount of views he's getting is swaying the stock price. So these are the prices on the days that it was published. So I looked up the individual stock prices, and then these are the next day closes. So when he bought USO, it went up, and if you go and watch his video, it was actually, they had not done a split yet, so the price shows a little bit different in the video, but it's the equivalent of about $17.08. Next day it was 18. If we look here at NAT, it went up to about 43 cents that day. It does go down on certain days, but as you can see here, Planet 13, it went up significantly. If we look at some of these other ones, some of them are really significant, some of them are too much. Cake went up 14%. So it's kind of interesting to take a look at this, and there's probably a better way that I could have done this where I put the dates kind of all in order, but this is how I researched it. So I had to go through each channel individually. So here we can see the percent increase each day from each stock. So the first day after he bought it, or the day after he produced the video, and usually the market's closed when he makes the video, you can see here it went up 5.4%. This one went up 8.5, this one went down 11.5, this one went up 30%, so Planet 13. And then the other two times they bought it, it went up 10%, and then the other time was 26%. So there is one repeat on here, and it is NAT, but he bought different amounts, so I'm not sure if he just bought about 32,000 instead of 30,000 and 2,000. So I think he bought separately because they were different prices and different amounts. But as we go down the line here, we can see the price today, and then I'll just do this next one too. It's pretty interesting because you can see a lot of these have gone up significantly. So the price today on USO is about $28. It was $17 when he bought it. So this is actually his buying price here. So his ROI on USO was 65%. On some stocks like Win, down 41%. TPR down 28.5%, but up on Fizz, and it goes down the line. So I'm going to average this out here in a second, so stay with me here, but I'm just kind of showing you my process. So then I looked at the daily average increases. So you can see here that some of these are pretty significant. So USO went up about 1% a day since he's bought it, and I was actually going to compare this to the index, but I ended up not doing that. But we will show here, overall, the average amount that he invested was about $16,000 between all of these. So averaged out, when he made a video, he put in about $16,000. His average views were about 75,000. So overall, props to him, he invested $274,000 in just the stock accounts that we can see. These are not tax advantaged accounts, these are just brokerage accounts. And he got over, 1.2 million views on these videos, and his total gain was actually negative. So he lost about $5,500 since he bought these stocks, but I will say the index has lost a lot more. So his weighted return is only about -2%, and that's just on these stocks. So again, he's bought at different times. It's hard to know exactly what the rate of return is annually because he bought these all at different times. And we've gone through a lot of turbulent times recently, but overall he's lost 2%. But compared to the index has lost 5.5% over the last 6 months. So I just compared it to the last 6 months because of the fact that I went a year back. So I figured right in the middle, he would have been buying somewhere around December, and the average, because he bought from July last year to June this year. So right in the middle, that is December. So the index has lost about 5.5%. He's only lost 2.03%. But what is interesting is you can see here on some of the newer ones that he's bought and some of the lower market cap stocks, the prices changed a lot. So Planet 13 increased a lot each time that he bought it. Cake, which is the Cheesecake Factory again, increased a ton when he bought it just the other day. And as we go down the line, you can kind of take a look at the different size companies. I did a lot of the legwork here for you if you want to analyze it more. Fizz stock, also a smaller holding or a smaller company, and it's gone up a lot. One other thing that's really interesting to note, at the bottom of the percent increase column is the average daily increase the day after he buys a stock, and it's at 4.8%. So averaged out throughout all the different stocks that he's bought over the last year, it has an average increase of 4.8% the day after he buys it. And it's just interesting to look down the line. And again, some of this isn't perfect because he sold Uber stock at one point, and I didn't break down, how much he sold it for and stuff like that. But it's kind of interesting because you can see how the return has changed depending on the size of the market cap, and then just the stock itself. If it's a riskier stock, it hasn't done as well most likely recently because of the economy. So like the CCLs and the Wins of the world have not done great, but they probably are actually increasing a lot higher and a lot more per day right now when the economy is opening back up. But it's just kind of interesting to go across the board and take a look at all of this laid out and see what kind of pull these kinds of YouTubers have on different stocks. So again, I really like financial education. I think he has a really good portfolio. Some of these are a little bit higher risk plays, but they weren't really meant to be. Some of them he picked up when they were really cheap, and some of them were before we knew any of this stuff was going to happen. So CCL was not a high risk play 6 months ago, or even 4 months ago. Back then, it was just a good solid buy. But now it is one of those really speculative stocks that a lot of people have talked about. If you want to analyze this more, go ahead. I think it's pretty interesting, and I'm sure that you can do a lot more with it. Again, hats off to Jeremy for being able to invest this much money, for having all these views on the videos, for making really good content, and beating the index recently by 3% in a really down economy. When I'm just looking at more of his spec plays, he has been able to pick up some cheap stocks and do pretty well on them. And a lot of his longer term holdings are a little bit safer. I think Tesla and Facebook have done really well for him, especially Tesla. So we're not including any of the ROI on that stock. And again, this isn't perfect, but I appreciate you guys watching and hitting the like button. If you guys want to get some stocks of your own and kind of follow Jeremy the next time that he invests in one of these public stocks, there is a link down to WeBull where you can get 2 free stocks if you sign up and deposit $100. Also, if you do want to support in another way, I did set up a Patreon. On that, if you support the channel, you do get access to a private Discord, and then I also will tell you all the things that I buy and that I sell and when I buy them and sell them. So if you want to check that out, that's also in the description below. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.